Hi, thank you very much, Elam Dada. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right.
You're clear.
Welcome, everybody. I want to add my voice to Elam Dada, our host's welcome voice, to say welcome to the space. Anyone who's been part of the week daily spaces we've been holding in the morning together, you know that what we do when we enter the space is to retweet it, retweet the space and quote the space, but also invite other people to share the space. Yes, I see there's 3 retweets we have so far. And I want to say that this space is your space. As we promised, we're going to be looking at the absence of an active, vibrant student movement in the anti-corruption peaceful march to protest that we've had the last couple of days in Uganda. We know that Makerere University played a major role in anti-colonial struggles that led to our independence. We know that Makerere University also had a thriving corpus of intellectuals, both faculty and students, who would engage with the politics of the day in the post-independence, post-1962 season. And then we know that during the Idi Amin times, the dictatorship, after Idi Amin expelled Asians, that a lot of thinkers at the Hill were either exiled, expelled, or executed, right? Executed. And I think that among the disappearances of the 1970s, the vice chancellor, Frank Kalimuzo, in 1972 is among the people who were disappeared. Security personnel picked him from his house, and he has never been seen again up to today. So the disappearances in Uganda, the abductions in Uganda have a longer history in which the vice chancellor disappeared. Frank Kalimuzo, who had only been a vice chancellor for 2 years, but was introducing innovations and expanding the courses on offer and introducing intellectual thought, was abducted in 1972 dictator Idi Amin. And so the abductions and disappearances we're seeing today by another dictator, Yoweri Museveni, are part of that history in which dictatorships have instrumentalized our military and our secret services and our police to abduct and disappear Ugandans. And so Makerere has been at the heart of liberation in Uganda, at the heart of creating thinkers, the scholars. I've talked about the vice chancellor who has disappeared. I talked about the anti-colonial struggles that led to independence. I think part of the depoliticization began with the privatization that was introduced by structural adjustment programs. Please share the space. Please retweet the space. We have only 6 retweets. The rule in my spaces is when we reach 10 retweets, then I open up the microphones and invite people to request for the microphone to speak. So people, if you want me to stop talking about history, some of the Gen Zs in the March to Parliament movement have been saying, why are we talking about history in the night shift? What? Why is history important? History is important because if we don't understand where we're coming from, we don't understand our present, and then we cannot analyze and plan strategically in ways that are effective to shape the future. So, comrades, please share the space. We have only 6 retweets. Please share the space. And as we do that, I think as an old Makererian who joined Makerere in 1993 in September and graduated in 1997 and participated in my first protest in 1993 at the introduction of private education, I want to begin with the national, oh, not the national anthem, with the anthem of the Hill, on which I studied and which I also got my first job. So, Makerere, Makerere, we build for the future, the great Makerere, great, great and mighty. And part of what I've been doing during this time of the March to Protest songs is to remix the words and the lyrics of songs. And so I want to say, Makerere, Makerere, we march to Parliament to fight corruption. Makerere, Makerere, we stop corruption. Anita must resign. Great, great and mighty, we march to parliament. Great, great and mighty, Anita must resign. Makerere oye, oye, Makerere oye, oye,
Oi,
Makerere oye, oye.
oi.
So, great Makererians and those who love Makerere, all members of universities in Uganda, I know we have a number of universities. This is your space. We have got 10 retweets. And the question of the day is what happened to the student movements? The great energy, youthful energy, great intellectual input, great infusion of liberation, independence, anti-colonial, anti-fascist, anti-dictatorship, anti-tyranny, anti-corruption forces in Uganda. Why do we see an absence? Why do we see an absence of vibrant student movement participation? The question was raised by Comrade Principal D, a young medical doctor who was arrested when he was going to Parliamentary Avenue, dressed in his clinical coat and holding his first aid kit and holding a placard and chanting, Anita must resign. The young doctor asked us during this week, why is it that students are now depoliticized and inactive? And he gave us a number of reasons. The same question was asked by Comrade Counsel Aaron Kiza when he said, what has happened to the faculty? Why is it that we only see Dr. Kabumba Businje of Human Rights and Peace Center actively engaged in the processes of fighting corruption? Why don't we see more faculty from the School of Law? Because the School of Law has got doctors, teachers, lawyers, scholars, legal scholars who understand that the right to peaceful assembly, freedom of expression are constitutional rights. Why aren't we seeing more scholars, more faculty, more lecturers raising their voices against corruption? What has Professor Barnabas Nawangwe done to Makerere University? Why is there a heavy military presence on the campuses, Makerere University, but all other universities? Why do we have police centers with military police and military security who are surveilling, monitoring, arresting, charging, intimidating, threatening our students? Why has Makerere University and all the other universities and colleges in Uganda allowed itself to shut up? Why are we muzzled? So comrades, please request for the microphone. This is your space. I am not going to be the main discussant. We created the space so that we can engage with the question. We need to see more scholars involved. I think in a previous space, someone also said, how come it is Dr. Jim Spire, the only doctor who is participating in terms of using his cartoons and his art discipline and his philosophy degree, his ethical training? Why is he the only lone voice from the School of Arts and Social Sciences and Humanities? Why is it the humanities that were really producing students who are politically engaged and interested in the context of their countries? Why don't we see more participation? As parents who pay school fees, tuition fees, why is it that we are paying tuition for children who come out silent, educated with degrees, unemployable, unemployed, and they haven't even participated in the questions of the day? What is the problem with Makerere University, my people? Why is it that suddenly Makerere has become a business churning out degrees, but not churning out thinkers for the liberation movement, the anti-fascist movement, the anti-corruption movement in our country? Having asked these questions, I do not dismiss or discredit the participation of those young comrades from Gen Z who put on their red gowns. There were some people who put on the red Makerere gown and marched onto those streets. We saw some young women and some young men raising the flag of Uganda, and we know them because they participated in previous student movements. There were student leaders leading our GRCs, our guild. They sat on guild bodies, they led during their time, but we are want to understand what has demobilized student movements in Uganda. The focus will be on Makerere University, but we know that many of us have attended universities and colleges and higher, institutions of learning all over Uganda, so you can share your experience. We want to acknowledge that the Minister of Education is an S2 dropout who did not have the qualifications to sit in a classroom at Makerere University, in spite of having not attained the USCE or the UCE, that's the University Certificate of Education, and the Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education. She masquerades around as a Minister of Education. She forced herself to get a degree, having forced somebody to sit those exams for herself. When a professor raised the issue at Makerere University, he faced the brunt of the state. Likewise, the master's degree that she got from UCU has been questioned because nobody saw her attending classes. So why is it that we have a dimwit who did not qualify beyond S2 in Uganda, who does not have UCE or USCE or their equivalents, is masquerading around in Uganda as the Minister of Education? We have to ask ourselves these important questions, because the depoliticization of our young educated people means we are being depoliticized as a country. Our resistance is only as strong as the minds and the bodies that are participating. So, comrades, please request for the microphone. I have laid out a canvas of several questions. This is our space. As we say in the March to Parliament movement, we are leaderless, we are partyless, we are religionless, we are tribeless, fearless, relentless, priceless. We cannot be bought. We shall not be silenced. We are going to ask the questions. We ask them peacefully, but we ask them consistently. Where is Makerere? Where are our educated Turks? Comrades, ask for the microphone. I didn't come to, it's not a one-man show. It's not a one-woman show. I can have a one-woman show. I undressed alone at Makerere University in 2016. My first nude protest in the country was at Makerere Institute of Social Research, and many people have wanked to my nude protest photos. That was not a sexual protest. That was active, political, feminist, historical protest. So if a woman undressed and brought her breasts to the front line, what are you bringing? You graduate, you student, you scholar, you faculty member, you administrator, you manager at Makerere University. I was protesting against the total collapse of the appointments board. The human resources policy at Makerere University had been captured by NRM cadres. I was raising questions around gender, around youth, around the abrogation of my contract as a permanent and pensionable servant protected by the Employment Service Act of Uganda under the Public Service, deployed to sit at Makerere University, but my contract was being abused. And nobody, none of the male professors, none of the female professors at Makerere University was bold enough to protect my contract. Are the same issues that led to my nude protest, the same issues that are affecting young thinkers, young energetic bodies, older thinkers at Makerere from participating in the liberation of our country. This is a peaceful movement, the March to Parliament. We are not criminals. We are exercising our constitutional rights to freedom of assembly, freedom of peaceful assembly, free expression, freedom of movement. So, comrades, please request for the microphone. I recognize you, Muj Martin. I welcome your participation. And LM Dada, I will land by saying we have to ask the questions about our intelligentsia in Uganda. When UPE and USP, UPE and USP were introduced to depoliticize, to demobilize thinkers in our country. But it's high time the Gen Z have shown us you don't have to have a PhD to come to the streets and march peacefully. You just have to have courage. And our comrades from prison have told us courage. So, LM Dada, I yield the microphone and I open up the space. Thank you so much for creating this space for us to think critically about Makerere and other universities and other institutions of higher learning and colleges. Thank you.